What's the example action for Law 21? Law 21 is play a sucker to catch a sucker, seem dumber than your mark. This law advises one to appear less competent or knowledgeable than one's mark in order to gain their trust and manipulate them more easily. Actions that align with this law could include 1. Playing dumb and feigning ignorance in order to gain the trust of others. 2. Asking naive questions or making seemingly innocent mistakes. 3. Being overly deferential and accommodating to the expertise or authority of others. 4. Seeming less powerful or capable than others in order to make them let down their guard. 5. Giving the impression that you need help, guidance or direction to make them feel superior. By appearing less competent or knowledgeable than one's mark, one can gain their trust and manipulate them more easily. This strategy helps create a false sense of security in the other party, and by doing so one can gain control of the situation or negotiation. It's worth noting that this law isn't about being dishonest or deceitful. It's about recognizing the power of appearing less powerful or capable than others in order to gain the trust of your target, and create a favorable situation to negotiate or influence. Here are some example scenarios for enacting Law 21. 1. In a business setting, a salesperson pretending to be less knowledgeable about a product in order to create a sense of trust and to gain an advantage in negotiations. 2. In a political context, a candidate pretending to be less experienced or less competent in order to appeal to voters or to gain the support of other politicians. 3. In a creative field, an artist or writer pretending to be less talented or less successful in order to gain the trust and support of other artists, curators, or agents. 4. In a classroom or academic setting, a student pretending to be less knowledgeable or less skilled in order to gain the trust and help of their classmates or their professors. 5. Within a group or social circle, a member pretending to be less influential or less powerful in order to gain the trust and support of other members. By feigning weakness or ignorance, one can gain the trust and confidence of others, which can give them an advantage and allow them to manipulate or deceive them. However, it's important to be aware that this approach can be dangerous and can lead to negative consequences for all parties involved. It can harm your reputation, relationships, and opportunities. Additionally, it's important to be aware that this law can be illegal or unethical, depending on the context and the situation. In any case, it's important to consider the long-term implications of this technique and the risks of using it. It's important to act with integrity and to be transparent about your intentions. What's the example action for Law 22? Law 22 is use the surrender tactic, transform weakness into power. This law advises to use the appearance of weakness or vulnerability as a tactic to gain the trust and support of others, and to ultimately emerge in a position of power. Actions that align with this law could include 1. Feigning vulnerability or weakness in order to gain the sympathy and support of others. 2. Surrendering in order to create a sense of indebtedness or loyalty. 3. Using self-deprecating humor to disarm others and create a sense of camaraderie. 4. Using a posture of humility and a willingness to admit mistakes in order to gain the trust and respect of others. 5. Using apparent weakness as a bargaining chip to gain concessions or concessions. 6. Building trust by making oneself vulnerable and showing that you have nothing to hide. By using the appearance of weakness or vulnerability as a tactic, one can gain the trust and support of others, and ultimately emerge in a position of power. This strategy can be especially effective in negotiation, where appearing willing to make concessions can create an impression of being a flexible, reasonable and therefore trustworthy negotiator. It's worth noting that this law isn't about being manipulative or deceitful. It's about recognizing the power of vulnerability and using it as a tactic to gain the trust and support of others and ultimately emerge in a position of power. Here are some example scenarios for enacting Law 22. 1. In a business setting, a manager appearing to give in to the demands of an employee in order to make them overconfident and to gain a greater advantage in future negotiations. 2. In a political context, a politician appearing to give in to the demands of a voter or a rival in order to make them overconfident and to gain a greater advantage in future elections. 3. In a creative field, an artist or writer appearing to give in to the demands of a critic or a rival in order to make them overconfident and to gain a greater advantage in future projects. 4. In a classroom or academic setting, a student appearing to give in to the demands of a teacher or a classmate in order to make them overconfident and to gain a greater advantage in future assignments. 5. Within a group or social circle, a member appearing to give in to the demands of another member in order to make them overconfident and to gain a greater advantage in future interactions. By surrendering or giving in to an opponent, one can make them overconfident and gain the upper hand. This can be a powerful way to turn a weak position into a strong one. However, it's important to be careful when using this strategy, as it can backfire if it's not timed or executed properly. Surrendering can also be seen as a sign of weakness. It can harm your reputation and your relationships, and it can lead to loss of trust or respect. Additionally, it's important to be aware that some opponents might be able to see through this strategy, and use it against you. It's important to consider the context, the timing, the goals, and the potential risks before deciding to use this technique. What's the example action for Law 23? Law 23 is concentrate your forces. This law advises to focus one's efforts and resources on a single objective in order to achieve maximum impact. Actions that align with this law could include: 1. Identifying and focusing on one key goal or objective. 2. Prioritizing efforts and resources in order to achieve the key goal. 3. Eliminating or delegating less important tasks to free up time and energy. 4. Being efficient and avoiding distractions or diversions. 5. Building a team or network of individuals who share the same goal and can support each other. 6. Staying persistent and maintaining focus, even when faced with obstacles or setbacks. By focusing one's efforts and resources on a single objective, one can achieve maximum impact and increase the chances of success. It's worth noting that this law isn't about being single-minded or inflexible. It's about recognizing the power of focus and concentration and using it to achieve one's goals more effectively. And also important to not get too fixated on the goal, be aware of the situational changes and adjust the focus accordingly. Here are some example scenarios for enacting Law 23. 1. In a business setting, a manager focusing all of the company's resources on a single product line or market in order to maximize the chances of success. 2. In a political context, a campaign focusing all of its efforts on a specific voting demographic or geographic area in order to maximize the chances of winning an election. 3. In a creative field, an artist or writer focusing all of their efforts on a specific project or style in order to maximize the chances of success. 4. In a classroom or academic setting, a student focusing all of their efforts on a specific course or subject in order to maximize the chances of getting a good grade. 5. Within a group or social circle, a member focuses all of their efforts on a specific task or goal in order to maximize the chances of success. By focusing one's efforts and resources on a single, specific goal or objective, one can maximize the chances of success. This can be a powerful way to achieve success but also to lose perspective and opportunities. It's important to be aware of the potential risks and trade-offs of this approach, and to balance it with a broad perspective. Additionally, it's important to be aware that it may not be possible to accomplish all goals with a single set of resources, or that some objectives may require the contributions of multiple people to be successful. it's important to be flexible and to adapt to changing circumstances. What's the example action for Law 24? Law 24 is play the perfect courtier. This law advises to ingratiate oneself with those in power by understanding and mirroring their desires and expectations. Actions that align with this law could include 1. Observing and studying the behavior and preferences of those in power. 2. Using flattery and charm to win their favor. 3. Mirroring the language, tone, and mannerisms of those in power. 4. Being aware of the cultural and social norms, and understanding the etiquette and protocol of those in power. 5. Being willing to make sacrifices and do the tasks they do not like. 6. Staying informed about their interests and actively participating in their hobbies or interests. By playing the perfect courtier, one can ingratiate oneself with those in power by understanding and mirroring their desires and expectations, which can lead to favorable treatment and opportunities for advancement. It's worth noting that this law isn't about being sycophantic or insincere. It's about recognizing the importance of building relationships with those in power, understanding their preferences and desires, and using them to gain favor and advance one's own goals. Here are some example scenarios for enacting Law 24. 1. In a business setting, an employee cultivates a reputation as a master of professional etiquette and protocol in order to gain the favor of their boss and advance in the company. 2. In a political context, a politician cultivates a reputation as a master of protocol and diplomacy in order to gain the favor of other politicians and advance in their career. 3. In a creative field, an artist or writer cultivates a reputation as a master of social grace and etiquette in order to gain the favor of art collectors, curators, and agents. 4. In a classroom or academic setting, a student cultivates a reputation as a master of protocol and etiquette in order to gain the favor of their professors and improve their chances of success. 5. Within a group or social circle, a member cultivates a reputation as a master of etiquette and social grace in order to gain the favor of other members and gain a greater advantage. By cultivating a reputation as a master of etiquette and social grace, one can gain the favor of those in power. This can be a powerful way to gain access to important people, resources, and opportunities. However, it's important to be aware that this strategy only works as long as you maintain this reputation and keep your behavior consistent. Also, it can be difficult to balance the need to be genuine with the need to be formal. Additionally, it's important to be aware that people might not value only manners and etiquette, they might appreciate a more sincere and authentic approach. Furthermore, it's important to understand that different cultures, settings or hierarchies may have different customs and manners, so it's crucial to know and respect them. What's the example action for Law 25? Law 25 is recreate yourself. This law advises to constantly reinvent oneself, change one's approach, and adapt to new situations in order to stay relevant and maintain power. Actions that align with this law could include 1. Constantly learning new skills and acquiring new knowledge. 2. Changing one's approach or strategy as needed to adapt to new circumstances. 3. Being open to new ideas and ways of thinking. 4. Being willing to take risks and try new things. 5. Being adaptable and flexible in one's thinking and behavior. 6. Continuously improving oneself and evolving over time. 7. Being aware of the environment and changing circumstances and adjusting the strategy accordingly. By constantly reinventing oneself, one can stay relevant and maintain power by adapting to new situations and emerging trends. It's important to be aware that the world is constantly changing, and those who can adapt to these changes will be in a better position to maintain their power and influence. It's worth noting that this law isn't about being superficial or inauthentic. It's about recognizing the importance of continuous personal growth, development and adaptation to changing circumstances in order to stay relevant and maintain power. Here are some example scenarios for enacting Law 25. 1. In a business setting, an employee who has made a mistake at work, changing their appearance or behavior in order to distance themselves from the mistake and gain a new reputation with their co-workers and superiors. 2. In a political context, a politician who has made a scandalous mistake, recreating their image through a media campaign to restore their public image and re-enter politics. 3. In a creative field, an artist or writer who has had a string of unsuccessful projects, reinventing their style or genre in order to gain a new reputation and revitalize their career. 4. In a personal level, an individual who has had a difficult past, recreating themselves through therapy, lifestyle changes, or even a relocation, to leave their past behind and create a new life. 5. Within a group or social circle, a member who has lost reputation or influence, reinventing themselves through changes in their appearance or behavior to regain the trust and support of other members. Recreating oneself can be a powerful tool for escaping the consequences of past mistakes, or for revitalizing a career or reputation that has stagnated. However, it's important to keep in mind that this strategy can also be risky and can backfire. It's important to be honest with oneself about the reasons for wanting to change and to have a clear vision of the desired outcome. Additionally, it's important to be aware that people might not easily accept the new version of yourself, especially if it's sudden and drastic, and it could take time for them to adapt. Furthermore, it's important to consider the legal and ethical implications of this action, especially if it involves a change of identity. What's the example action for Law 26? Law 26 is Keep Your Hands Clean. This law advises to avoid dirty work or shady deals that could harm one's reputation, and instead to keep a distance and let others do the work for you. Actions that align with this law could include: 1. Not getting directly involved in illegal or unethical activities. 2. Avoiding association with unsavory characters or activities. 3. Maintaining a sense of moral integrity and professionalism. 4. Being careful not to leave any trace that could implicate you. 5. Using intermediaries or proxies to do the dirty work for you. 6. Creating plausible deniability by not getting caught on record. 7. Staying informed of what is happening, but not getting your hands dirty. By keeping one's hands clean and avoiding dirty work, one can maintain a good reputation and avoid damaging one's image or credibility. This could help preserve your power and influence in the long run. It's worth noting that this law isn't about being passive or indifferent. It's about recognizing the importance of maintaining a good reputation and avoiding activities that could damage it, while still achieving one's goals through more ethical or legal means, and by delegating tasks that could compromise your reputation to others. Here are some example scenarios for enacting Law 26. 1. In a business setting, an executive avoids direct involvement in unethical business practices, such as insider trading or price fixing, in order to maintain their reputation and integrity. 2. In a political context, a politician avoids direct involvement in illegal or corrupt activities, such as accepting bribes, in order to maintain their reputation and integrity. 3. In a creative field, an artist or writer avoids direct involvement in plagiarism or copyright infringement, in order to maintain their reputation and integrity. 4. On a personal level, an individual avoids direct involvement in illegal or unethical activities, such as fraud or embezzlement, in order to maintain their reputation and integrity. 5. Within a group or social circle, a member avoids direct involvement in activities that could harm or exploit others, in order to maintain their reputation and integrity. By avoiding direct involvement in unethical or illegal activities, one can maintain a reputation for morality and integrity. This can be a powerful way to gain the trust, respect, and support of others. However, it's important to be aware that this strategy can also be difficult to execute in certain situations, where it may be hard to avoid direct involvement. Additionally, it's important to consider the broader context and the potential consequences of staying away from certain activities, as it could mean missing important opportunities or not being able to address certain issues. Furthermore, it's important to be honest with oneself and to have a clear understanding of one's values and principles. What's the example action for Law 27? Law 27 is play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. This law advises to tap into people's need for a sense of purpose or meaning, and use it to create a dedicated and loyal following. Actions that align with this law could include 1. Creating a compelling vision or narrative that speaks to people's needs and values. 2. Communicating in a way that is emotional, inspiring and charismatic. 3. Fostering a sense of community and belonging among followers. 4. Being a leader who is seen as wise and powerful, but also compassionate and understanding. 5. Using symbols, rituals and traditions to create a sense of identity and purpose. 6. Creating a sense of exclusivity and secrecy that further binds followers to the group. 7. Being consistent in your message, actions and words. By tapping into people's need to believe and creating a cult-like following, one can achieve a high level of influence, as the followers will be highly dedicated and loyal to the cause. It's worth noting that this law isn't about being deceitful or creating something that is harmful. It's about recognizing the power of people's need for meaning and using it to build a dedicated following. It's important to have a clear and beneficial goal and stay true to that goal, without becoming too fixated on the followers or their needs, rather than the cause or the objective. Here are some example scenarios for enacting Law 27. 1. In a business setting, a leader who creates a strong corporate culture and sense of purpose to attract and retain top talent and gain a loyal following. 2. In a religious or spiritual context, a leader who creates a sense of community and shared belief to attract and retain followers and gain a loyal following. 3. In a political context, a leader who creates a sense of shared national identity and purpose to attract and retain supporters and gain a loyal following. 4. In a social or non-profit context, a leader who creates a sense of shared mission and purpose to attract and retain volunteers and gain a loyal following. By tapping into people's desire for something to believe in, one can create a cult-like following. This can be a powerful way to gain the loyalty, commitment and support of others, but also can be dangerous as it can make people follow blindly and make questionable decisions. It's important to be aware of the potential risks of this approach, such as manipulation, and to maintain a sense of accountability and transparency. Additionally, it's important to understand that creating a sense of shared purpose should be sincere and beneficial for everyone, not only for oneself. Furthermore, it's important to remember that the followers' needs and motivations may change over time, therefore adaptability is crucial. What's the example action for Law 28? Law 28 is enter action with boldness. This law advises to take decisive and bold action in order to establish oneself as a leader and create momentum. Actions that align with this law could include 1. Being decisive and taking action quickly, instead of hesitating or procrastinating. 2. Being bold and taking calculated risks in order to achieve one's goals. 3. Being confident and assertive in one's actions and communication. 4. Being willing to take bold and unorthodox actions that others are not willing to take. 5. Being the first to act and set the pace for others. 6. being able to adapt and overcome obstacles in the way of achieving your goal. 7. Leading by example and inspiring others to take bold action themselves. By taking decisive and bold action, one can establish oneself as a leader and create momentum. This can help you gain an advantage over others who are hesitating or procrastinating. It's worth noting that this law isn't about being reckless or impulsive. It's about recognizing the importance of taking decisive and bold action, and the power of momentum in achieving one's goals. Taking bold action can be risky, so it's important to weigh the potential costs and benefits and take calculated risks, while also having a plan B in case things don't go as planned. Here are some example scenarios for enacting Law 28. 1. In a business setting, a CEO who makes a bold move to acquire a competitor or enter a new market, in order to instill fear and respect in rivals and gain a competitive advantage. 2. In a military context, a general who launches a bold and decisive attack on an enemy's position, in order to instill fear and respect in the enemy and gain a strategic advantage. 3. In a negotiation context, a negotiator who starts off the talks with a bold and decisive opening move, in order to instill fear and respect in the other party and gain an advantage in the negotiations. 4. In a personal level, an individual who takes bold action to pursue a long-held dream or goal, in order to gain the respect and admiration of others and gain a sense of personal achievement. Entering action with boldness can be a powerful tool for achieving one's goals and instilling fear and respect in others. However, it's important to balance the need for boldness with a sense of prudence and caution, as acting too boldly can also lead to mistakes, failure or even backlash. It's important to take into account the risks, the potential consequences and the right moment to act. Additionally, it's important to be aware that some people might react differently to boldness and to be sensitive to that, to adjust accordingly. Furthermore, it's important to have a clear vision and plan, and not to confuse boldness with impulsiveness. What's the example action for Law 29? Law 29 is plan all the way to the end. This law advises to plan ahead and think long-term in order to achieve one's goals, and to anticipate and prepare for potential obstacles or challenges that may arise. Actions that align with this law could include: 1. Thinking long-term and setting long-term goals. 2. Planning ahead and anticipating potential obstacles or challenges. 3. Developing a comprehensive strategy that takes into account all potential variables. 4. Continuously monitoring progress and adjusting plans as needed. 5. Building in contingencies and having a backup plan. 6. Continuously learning from past experiences and adjusting future plans accordingly. 7. Being aware of the bigger picture and understanding how things will play out in the long run. By planning all the way to the end, one can anticipate and prepare for potential obstacles and challenges, and increase the chances of achieving one's goals. This approach can help you make decisions and avoid mistakes that could impede progress. It's worth noting that this law isn't about being rigid or inflexible. It's about recognizing the importance of planning ahead and thinking long-term in order to achieve one's goals, and being prepared to adapt and adjust as needed. It's important to be aware that things change and plans may have to adapt as well, so it's vital to be flexible and be able to adjust to the new circumstances. Here are some example scenarios for enacting Law 29. 1. In a business setting, an entrepreneur who conducts thorough market research and creates a detailed business plan, in order to anticipate and overcome potential obstacles to the success of their venture. 2. In a political context, a politician who creates a comprehensive policy platform and considers the long-term consequences of their decisions, in order to anticipate and overcome potential obstacles to their success. 3. In a personal level, an individual who sets long-term goals and creates a comprehensive plan to achieve them, in order to anticipate and overcome potential obstacles to their success. 4. In a negotiation setting, a negotiator who anticipates the other party's moves, goals, and objectives and crafts a plan to achieve the best outcome while anticipating and overcoming potential obstacles. Thinking through the long-term consequences of one's actions and planning all the way to the end can be a powerful tool for anticipating and overcoming potential obstacles and ensuring the success of one's plans. However, it's important to be aware that long-term planning can be subject to change, as the circumstances and the environment can change rapidly. Additionally, it's important to be open to new opportunities, adapt and make adjustments as necessary. Furthermore, it's important to involve others, such as a team, when planning, as they can provide different perspectives and insights. What's the example action for Law 30? Law 30 is make your accomplishments seem effortless. This law advises to create the illusion of effortlessness, and make it seem as though one's accomplishments are the result of natural talent or good luck, rather than hard work and strategy. Actions that align with this law could include: 1. Being understated and modest about one's achievements and abilities. 2. Creating the illusion of being in the right place at the right time. 3. Making it seem as though success was inevitable or destined to happen. 4. Playing down the amount of time, effort, and resources put into an achievement. 5. Being nonchalant and non-threatening in one's approach and demeanor. 6. Creating a sense of ease and flow in one's actions and speech. 7. Using subtle cues to imply that the success was a stroke of luck or a natural talent. By creating the illusion of effortlessness, one can make one's accomplishments seem more impressive and attainable, and avoid inspiring envy or resentment in others. It can also help avoid the perception of being a threat, making it more likely for people to follow or emulate you. It's worth noting that this law isn't about being dishonest or falsely claiming credit. It's about recognizing the power of creating the impression of effortlessness and downplaying the effort and strategy behind one's accomplishments, in order to inspire admiration and emulation in others, rather than resentment or envy. Here are some example scenarios for enacting Law 30. 1. In a business setting, an executive who appears to make important decisions easily, and makes it look like their successes come effortlessly, in order to inspire admiration and jealousy among their colleagues and competitors. 2. In a sports context, an athlete who makes their training, skills, and successes look effortless and natural, in order to inspire admiration and jealousy among their opponents. 3. In a creative context, an artist who makes their creations appear to come effortlessly, in order to inspire admiration and jealousy among their peers. Making your accomplishments seem effortless can be a powerful way to inspire admiration and jealousy, and to make others feel inferior. However, it's important to be aware that this approach can also backfire, as others might perceive it as arrogant or dismissive. Additionally, it's important to remember that the appearance of effortlessness usually is the result of hard work, sacrifice and planning. It's not real effortlessness, but rather a well-honed skill. Furthermore, it's important to be genuine and authentic, and not to strive for the appearance of effortlessness just for the sake of it. Instead, to focus on developing one's own skills and talents, and let the success speak for themselves.